In part 1, chapter 23 of Don Quixote, Sancho Panza is sure the police will be looking for the escaped criminals and suggests they flee to the Sierra Morena Mountains. They find an abandoned suitcase filled with shirts, fine linens, 100 gold coins, and a journal. Sancho Panza takes the gold coins as compensation for his suffering. Master and squire spy a nearly naked man on a mountaintop and learn from a local goat herd that this is Cardenio, who came to the mountains 6 months ago as some sort of penance. Don Quixote suspects that Cardenio is the owner of the abandoned suitcase and wants to find him, but Sancho Panza is worried that finding Cardenio will mean giving back the gold. The man suddenly emerges from a ravine, and Don Quixote hugs him. In part 1, chapter 24, Cardenio is from a noble family in Andalusia. He's in love with a girl named Lucinda and intends to marry her, but his father wants him to fulfill the request of Grand Duke Ricardo and become a companion to the Duke's wayward son, Don Fernando. Don Fernando has fallen in love with a local farmer's daughter, but the only way she will sleep with him is if he promises to marry her. Don Fernando suggests they go to Cardenio's hometown to shop for horses. Cardenio agrees, desperate to see Lucinda. Don Quixote interrupts the story to talk about a book Cardenio mentions. They argue over the chasteness of the queen, and Cardenio throws a rock at Don Quixote. Sancho Panza tries to avenge his master and gets beaten up, and Cardenio flees. In part 1, chapter 25, Don Quixote decides to go crazy to impress Dulcinea del Toboso. Sancho Panza can't figure out why, especially when he realizes he actually knows Dulcinea. She's strong and brave, but nothing like the woman Don Quixote has been talking about all this time. The Don points out that the women portrayed in literature aren't actual flesh and blood, they're just inventions to make poets look good. He writes a letter for Sancho Panza to deliver. Right before leaving, Sancho Panza agrees to watch one spectacle of insanity involving a naked Don Quixote doing 2 somersaults. Cardenio's madness comes in fits and seems to be triggered by stress. Don Quixote, on the other hand, embraces his insanity. He's happier and more alive than he has been in years. His madness is illustrated in his decision to go crazy to impress Dulcinea.